Hello all, I'm Vineet and I'm back with another video. I know it's really long since I've posted any, but I'll try to keep it consistent now, as in past I was stuck on some personal projects and stuff. Here you can see me drawing a figure from a photo reference that's from Grafit Studio. Check them out, they're really great. And here you can see me finding key landmarks, points to reference the image and drawing it. It's a really classic technique used by old painters, sculptors across the history and throughout the world. So yeah, it was this method is really simple, and now I'm using a shadow map. As you can see, I figured it out earlier on the figure with the red, and now I'm putting it on my drawing. You can see I've tried to give the look very graphic at this stage because I just need to analyze how the figure looks in a very simple way. Now I looked it from far, and you can see now I'm degrading the tone from white to gray because color are better judged over a toned paper than on a white paper, because you don't know how bright the color is. Right now I've added selection and I'm on my next stage, that is establishing values over it, so that I can add color on it later on and it will hold on to it because of the values. And it's really important to not skip this step. You can see me adding a few backgrounds and selecting it. Now I have airbrushed a red over it so that I can establish what underlies the skin, like the blood and everything, the redness of the muscles. Now I have airbrushed some of the skin tones over it. Now I'm using a hard edge brush to paint the skin. Really, in fact, when it was no digital for me in my early learning stages, my teachers have always taught me how to use a real world brush. Right, you need to train yourself how to use a hard edge brush, because without limiting you won't learn how useful thing is and how useful are hard edges. You can see me, I am just using a square hard edge brush with opacity jitter. In traditional media you won't get any opacity jitter, and you'll have to manage it all by mixing it with a hard edge brush. That's the training I have received, and I'm applying it same to the digital media as well, and it works really well. I really don't like the soft and really synthetic looking images that are made in Photoshop. I'm not against them, but I don't like it. I am really used to the traditional stuff, and I really like how uh, the feel is, the grit is there, and the painting feels more lifelike because of such things. And now I'm adding few patches of colors over the hands and showing a little bit of anatomy and stuff. It's the tricep, and now the lats area I'm moving on to. Now again back to the hand, and I'm painting over the triceps and indicating the forms and volumes using small patches of paint, like because the value was established, so I'm really carefree at this stage, like how dark or light the colors are, because I have already established the values, and I can just try to eyeball the colors so that I pick them over the undertone, and it really helps me to hold on the color to the figure and make it more believable rather than making it more or more vibrant than the references. The point is, I want to study the figure for its light, anatomy, posture, and the kind way it's composed. So, moving on, I have just finished painting the forearm area, and now I'm adding some highlights. You can see me, I'm just using the eye to find the color patch that I can put over it. If you zoom in, you can see I have just added color patches over it to indicate lights, shadows, the forms and everything. The other beauty of the traditional media is you go by patience. So I have a lot of patience in painting it, so I am not in a hurry. But for today's times, as you can see in the production time in the media and all, you can see if you are involved in a team and the process is really hasty, it's just because you don't have time and the content need to be out there. But while learning, I'll suggest that keep patience, keep it slow and gradual, because if you mess the fundamentals, the entire piece is going to break down. It doesn't matter, it's game, it's film, it's art for movies, animated movies or anything. If you don't master the fundamentals or you don't have enough practice over the fundamentals, the piece that you make will break. Now as you can see that I am adding some suggestive anatomical details over the figure in the hip region and the thigh region. Although the muscle is not visible in the reference, I have just added a hint of it so that I can paint over it lightly to get the feel of the muscle underlying it. I don't know that you can see the muscles or not on the figure because of the YouTube compression, but I'm pretty sure the reference image I took had a muscle definition, so I am going for it. And I'll airbrush some of the stuff later on where I don't want to show much of the details, because in painting something you'll have to have a region of focus that's detailed, and I'll blur out some of the areas although they'll be in focus, but they'll have less details. I'm not intending to smudge or blend them with the background now. It's a study. I'm not going for some stylistic approach here. So because keeping hard edges and soft edges together sometimes give you more stylistic result and you can use it for your work, but here I am just making a study of it. So I'll just hide some of the details on the leg that I'm painting, because in the photo reference it's mostly in shadow. I'll pick some of the background tones and I'll airbrush it on the later stage, you'll see it. And I'm suggesting some anatomical details over the foot area and suggesting some anatomy through the paint marks or the shapes that I'm making through paints. And I'm doing on the same way with the other stuff too. You can see the skin is a kind of material visible here that is lit by a spotlight, and so most of the light is over the dorsal region than the lower region. And you can see me painting the other leg. I'll do the same things, like find some anatomical details over it, and I'll hide the anatomical details if I need to, if it's taking off from the entire figure. Like you need to have a region of focus, and here you can see exactly where the light guides you. In the reference image it's the upper portion, right, and the lower portion is important to balance it. So uh, you should keep these things in mind while doing a study so that you can learn more, add more to your knowledge. Yeah, main goal is not to just make a copy of it or just make 100% identical image. We are trying to absorb as much of the information as we can, like how the light is wrapping around the volumes of the body, how the light is interacting with the skin and giving us a little bit of subscatter, and how the skin is reacting to light, the skin tones are reacting to light. You can see me painting one of the other materials present in this photograph, and it's the fur. And so if I explain what are hairs on or what are furs, like you can have random brush marks over it, but you can make it still look like it is fur because of the way it's arranged. Like I'm just adding patches the way I can observe on the photo. It's a good training for the eye too. You can add strokes but make them in a pattern moving in a direction, and boom, you get hair or a fur. Depending on the rendering, you can make it look like hair, you can make it look like fur, you can make it look like it's made out of grass, and it will give your reference more character. But here I am just trying to study it, so I'll just leave it like that. Sometimes I'm a little lazy over my stuff, and I admit it, but in this image I'm really satisfied with the result that I'm receiving. And doing the prop thing now, it's just a thing that the figure is holding. It's a spear, and here a figure almost is complete, and adding some final touches to it. The background is still incomplete, but I'll refine it. And you can see most of our figure painting and drawing is complete, and all the techniques that I've used are mostly traditional. So the fundamentals is really important and we should not be missing on them. Like the if you miss the fundamentals, you'll break the whole piece. It doesn't matter what stage it is, but the fundamental are really going to have an impact on any of your artwork. And I teach it too. I was taught by my teachers and I really believe key to doing good art or great art starts from the fundamentals. So if you want to learn the fundamentals of figure drawing, fundamentals of concepting, design, drawing, painting, I teach them in my personal class. You can DM me to get into the inner circle so that I can update you about my art courses. See you in the next video.